How the heck could I ever lose weight if I'm just thinking about what I'm adding to my meals and not taking away? Doesn't weight loss always require a calorie deficit? Yeah, it does. But it doesn't have to leave you feeling deprived. Let me explain. Welcome to another episode of Bite Back with Abbey Sharp, where I dismantle diet culture rules, call out the charlatans spinning this pseudoscience, and help you achieve food freedom for good. Today is a very exciting episode for me because I finally get to spill the beans on something I have been building for almost a decade, and it is finally here. My long-awaited book, The Hunger Crushing Combo Method, will be landing on your doorstep and in bookstores across the nation on January 13th. And it is for pre-order as of today. For years, you have been sharing how much the Hunger Crushing Combo framework has helped you with your nutrition goals and your relationship with food. And you have been begging for a full book for years. So you need to know that this would not have ever been possible without you. It has been quite the journey getting here, but I promise you, I am so proud of this thing. It is so worth the wait. But if you're new to the framework, let me give you the TLDR. The Hunger Crushing Combo is an additive, gentle nutrition framework designed to serve as an evidence-based alternative to all the rigid diet rules that have failed you in the past. Rather than focusing on a laundry list of what you need to remove from your diet, it shifts the focus onto what we can add, namely our hunger-crushing compounds, fiber, protein, and healthy fats. I know this seems so simple, but I promise you the results are pure magic. Cravings disappear, hunger and fullness cues are restored, you have space in your life to think about things other than food, and you're able to fuel your body for your goals without deprivation or denial. Part of the reason why my Hunger Crushing Combo has been such a game changer for so many people is that it can be utilized and adapted to suit any and every lifestyle, preference, and goal. And in the book, I have specific chapters on tips to use the framework for managing insulin resistance, diabetes and PCOS, fitness and sports goals, perimenopause and menopause, feeding a healthy family, and as we are going to discuss in this episode specifically, reaching and maintaining a healthy body weight. If you've been on and off the diet wagon for years, cycling through Weight Watchers, keto, intermittent fasting, and juice cleanses, you probably are well acquainted with the experience of feeling deprived. It sucks, to be honest, and our brain and our body typically aren't so chill about it. The more you tell yourself you can't have something you want, whether that's just enough calories to not feel hungry or specific foods that you love, the harder your body fights back. Eventually, the willpower runs dry, the hunger overtakes you, and bam, you binge. Cue the crushing guilt, the tightening of the restrictive reins even harder, and a repeat cycle a week later. It is truly exhausting and ultimately hugely ineffective long term. The HCC is not another restrictive diet. In fact, I don't like to call it a diet at all because it's not designed as a set of strict rules with a singular goal of dropping lbs. It is a 180 mindset shift that can effortlessly fuel your body in ways that feel good, both physically and emotionally, without dipping into that scarcity mentality that fuels a binge. With the Hunger Crushing Combo, you are not giving up the foods you love, so you got that emotional satisfaction, and you're eating in a way that prevents gnawing hunger, aka you've got physical satiety. And this is obviously critical if you're on a weight loss journey, but it's equally so for any and every other circumstance or goal. But let's focus on its potential use for folks who do desire weight loss. And if this is you, I know what you're probably thinking. How the heck could I ever lose weight if I'm just thinking about what I'm adding to my meals and not taking away? Doesn't weight loss always require a calorie deficit? Yeah, it does. But it doesn't have to leave you feeling deprived. Let me explain. When we start to allow ourselves permission to incorporate the foods that we love, we stop obsessing over and then eventually binging on the quote unquote bad foods that we are not supposed to have. This is the first step in understanding how food makes us feel. What keeps us fuller longer? What makes our workouts or our work days feel easier? What gets us through that 3 p.m. slump without raiding the communal candy dish? In my book, I call foods like candy and other refined carb foods naked carbs because they are stripped of the hunger-crushing compounds that help you feel full. But when you add hunger-crushing compounds that are inherently filling and that feel good to your body, you naturally start to edge out the less nutritious, high-calorie, naked carbs that tend to leave you hungry for a snack again soon after. Without that extra snack or extra serving of white pasta, you naturally and effortlessly create a calorie deficit. The hunger-crushing combo, therefore, crushes the emotional cravings and the physical hunger, so you never find yourself polishing off a quart of ice cream saying, diet starts again tomorrow. Let's go over the 3 hunger-crushing compounds and why they are so critical to supporting your healthiest, happiest weight without restriction. Let's start with protein. Protein is what I call king of the satiety hierarchy, making it a key nutrient to prioritize during weight loss. Research suggests that changes to protein intake has the biggest influence on sustainable fat loss, and there are a number of reasons for this. The first has to do with how protein is digested. Unlike refined carbs or naked carbs, protein takes hours to digest, which stimulates a bundle of our nervous system called the vagus nerve to tell us that we are full. It also burns more calories to digest protein than any other macronutrient. About 20 to 30% of the calories in protein are actually just burned up by digesting it. Protein is also really good at pumping out key satiety hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1. And yes, we are talking about the same GLP-1 hormone that drugs like Ozempic work to boost that helps secrete insulin to help lower blood sugar levels, slow digestion, and reduce appetite and hunger. And it's not just physical hunger, but higher protein diets also help to reduce food cravings and food noise for less nutritious high sugar foods. We also know that when you're in a calorie deficit, protein needs are significantly higher because we don't want to just lose any old weight. We want to preserve our muscle while losing body fat. In other words, we want our muscles to be preferentially fed with adequate protein to prevent cutting into our metabolism boosting muscle mass. In the hunger crushing combo method, I go into a lot more really cool details about the science of the power of protein. I also break down evidence-based ideal protein targets and ratios for meals and snacks, and I give loads of examples of how to meet your protein needs without tracking, weighing, or counting. Next, let's talk fiber. There is a reason why most diets, both the good and the bad ones, recommend eating more plants. And fiber is kind of a big deal. Unfortunately, nearly 95% of adults are not meeting the minimum targets for good health, never mind for supporting weight loss. Like protein, fiber adds bulk to the gut and digests really slowly, while also slowing down the absorption of other foods, including naked carbs, to keep you fuller longer. It pumps out satiety hormones and feeds our good gut bacteria, which actually play their own important role in body weight management. I actually get into some super cool science on why 100 calories of naked carbs isn't the same as 100 calories of hunger crushing compounds in the book, so definitely want to look out for that. But perhaps the biggest reason why fiber is such a weight loss food staple is because it has the lowest calorie density of anything we can eat. In other words, you get a lot of food, but not a lot of calories per bite. This concept of calorie density helps explain why highly processed foods like naked carbs are generally associated with weight gain, but a whole food, unprocessed diet packed with fiber-rich fruits and vegetables is linked to weight loss. In the book, I give some strategic guidelines for what to aim for at meals and snacks, as well as loads of visual cues of what that even would look like without having to count, so that you can reap all of the fiber rewards. And then there's healthy fats. Fat is finally having its moment after years of us all being told that we have to eat fat-free cheese and Jell-O to avoid gaining weight. But in stark contrast with fiber, which offers very few calories per gram, and protein, which offers 4, fat is the highest calorie density macro, with 9 calories per gram. That said, fat is super slow digesting. It stimulates satiety hormones and reduces the hunger hormone ghrelin. And perhaps most importantly, it brings the satisfaction factor. Fat enhances the flavor, texture, and the sensual experience of eating so that we feel like we actually ate something good. I mean, just try to eat a bowl of lettuce without any kind of dressing or nuts or cheese or avocado, and you tell me how satisfying that rabbit food is. It's not. So in the hunger crushing combo method, I give lots more detail on best practices and specific tips on how to capitalize on fat superpowers for supporting a healthy weight without adding so many calories that it prevents a calorie deficit necessary for weight loss. So let's go over a few examples to show you how the hunger crushing combo could play out. Let's just start with the old dieting version of you. Maybe this month you are intermittent fasting, so you are probably physically hungry, and you're cutting back on all carbs, so you're emotionally deprived. And on one particularly stressful workday, your coworker brings in a box of white chocolate cranberry scones from your favorite gourmet bakery. By the time the clock hits noon and your feasting window begins, you say, F it, diet starts again tomorrow, and you dive headfirst into a scone the size of your head. Sure, the craving is crushed, but you also took in like 500 unexpected calories, and now you're feeling physically uncomfortable from the sugar rush and emotionally tormented by your quote-unquote failure. Now, I want to make it absolutely clear here. You are not a failure. Of course, you're going to want to eat the whole scone in one go when you haven't had a damn carb in a month. I am also not demonizing scones or any naked carbs. They are delicious, they bring us joy, and I want you to include foods that bring you joy. But nutritionally, scones are mostly naked carbs without any real hunger-crushing compounds to anchor them. So they're just not very satiating. It's therefore not a surprise that like an hour later, you're poking around the cupboards again for an energy boost. You've already, quote-unquote, ruined your diet, so you eat a chocolate-coated granola bar, pound back a few handfuls of cheese crackers, and wash it down with a sweetened coffee drink. And then, of course, by mid-afternoon, you feel that familiar energy slump creeping back. You can see how easy it is to rack up the calories without ever actually feeling full. So let's try this again using the hunger crushing combo framework. The smell of those sugary scones hits your cubicle, so you go over to take a look. You know how good they are, so you are not going to deny yourself a taste, but you also have some experience that tells you that just having a monster scone for like breakfast doesn't always feel so good. Let's be real. We're no spring chickens over here. So you slice yourself off a chunk to crush the craving, and you pair it with a protein shake made with a scoop of protein powder for protein, a handful of berries for fiber, and a little spoonful of almond butter for healthy fats. Adding those super satiating, hunger-crushing compounds slashed around 75 calories from what you'd consume if you had the naked carb scone alone, but more importantly, it kept you satiated longer to also make the 400 calories of follow-up snacks completely obsolete. And that is how you create a calorie deficit without denial. You quite literally can have your cake or muffin or scone or chips and feel good eating it too. And if you're thinking, well, what if I feel deprived only eating like a third of the scone? And that is where the mental mind shift comes in. When we focus on how building balanced plates make us feel both physically and emotionally, we begin to see the scone plus shake not as another portion controlled diet, but one that innately feels like self-care. And I might add that sometimes that self-care is going to mean not having any hunger-crushing compounds in your meal at all. Sometimes it's going to mean just eating the naked carbs in their birthday suit because that is what you need in the moment. And that permission is absolutely essential to the sustainability of this mentality shift. But I promise you, once you feel the difference of balance, you will very quickly find yourself exiting the binge-restrict roller coaster ride for good. Now, let's talk some examples. And the most important thing that you need to know here is that a lot of foods don't neatly fit into one of the three categories. A lot of foods are what I call dual citizens because they offer fiber and protein, or protein and fat, or fat and fiber. Some, like a lot of nuts and seeds, offer relative amounts of all three. If you're fussing over where foods quote unquote belong, you are totally overcomplicating the process. All of those foods are great choices, so just eat more of them and you'll be in great shape. But let's start with my personal go-to no think, no cook breakfast. I do a big bowl of cottage cheese for protein, a handful or two of berries for fiber, and a heaping spoon or two of hemp hearts for healthy fats and protein. Want to make it more fun? Add in a handful of your favorite naked carb sweet cereal for crunch. Yes, my friends, you can have Lucky Charms at breakfast and still reach your health goals. Lunch could be a veggie and wild rice loaded salad for fiber, grilled salmon for protein and healthy fats, and some diced avocado for fiber and healthy fats. See all those dual citizens? They are key for getting the best nutrient bang for your caloric buck. Dinner is also easy to conceptualize within the framework. We could do some quinoa for protein and fiber, a tofu and vegetable curry for protein and fiber, and a sprinkle of cashews for healthy fats. And let's throw some more naked carbs in the mix for dessert. Rather than plowing through 2 rows of Oreos and going to bed on a sugar high sure to disrupt your sleep, how about we crumble a cookie or two on top of a bowl of chocolate chia pudding loaded with fiber, protein, and healthy fats? Then I top it off with some berries and almonds for some more fiber and fats, respectively. Honestly, it is so good. And the possibilities here are truly endless. In the Hunger Crushing Combo method, I give you cheat sheets of the best sources of protein, fiber, and healthy fats in order of their Hunger Crushing Combo potential, creative combos to get you started, fun ways to turn quote-unquote unhealthy foods into balanced meals and snacks, along with 30 different fully adaptable and customizable recipes. And as I said at the top of the show, while I chose to focus today's episode on its application for healthy weight management with a subsection for those on GLP-1s, the framework is truly appropriate for everyone, and the book offers specific chapters on insulin resistance, diabetes and PCOS, fitness and sports nutrition goals, perimenopause and menopause nutrition, and how to use the framework to help feed your family without a fight. And on that note, that's it. Honestly, it has been a ride to get to this point, and I just want you to know how amazingly grateful I have been of all your support and enthusiasm about the Hunger Crushing combo and just how it has changed your life. I love to hear these stories. I'm telling you, this book would never have happened without you. And as I said at the top, pre-sales are so critically important to the success of a book. So it would mean everything to me if you would check out the link and pre-order yours today. Signing off with Science and Sass, I'm Abbey Sharp. Thanks for listening.